IVM.
News Kids on the Block. We bring to you stories that top the nation's papers, fresh from the IVM and Ascend International School Desk. Hi, I'm Kavya.
I'm Anya.
And I'm Trivik.
And welcome to this episode of News Kids on the Block, where we give you all the top news updates of the week. The first story I have for you guys is unfortunately not very good news. But Bappi Lahiri, the 69-year-old singer and music composer, who was also known as the Disco King, passed away on the 16th of February 2022 on Wednesday. While it is a really, really shocking and sad piece of news, I thought it would be really interesting to look back at his legacy and some interesting facts about him and why he was loved so much, not only by Indians, but by people all over the world. So Bappi Lahiri was only 3 years old when he started playing the tabla, and he was also, in fact, in the Guinness Book of World Records for recording over 180 songs for 33 films in a single year in 1986. And not only was he popular in India, but he recorded some tracks for many Hollywood movies and was also collaborated on many songs with international music artists like Lady Gaga. And he was also friends with Michael Jackson, which I think is pretty cool. So, I think, like I said, he truly was one of India's most vibrant people, and he brought so much culture and good stuff to the country. So he will definitely be missed.
Yeah, Kavya, I think that he really redefined an era of music. The next story that we have for you today comes from Kerala, where basically, as a Republic World article says, adding an extra dose of love this Valentine's Day, a trans couple, Shyama R. Prabha and Manu Karthik, tied the knot. They got married in Thiruvananthapuram. Manu Karthik told ANI, "We're happy to get married on Valentine's Day. We're completing the paperwork to approach Kerala HC to register our marriage under transgender identity." And this is really interesting because there's a plea in Delhi that seeks same-sex marriage registration under secular law. And then there was a plea opposing the registration of same-sex marriages under the Hindu Marriage Act, which was filed in the Delhi High Court in early December 2021. And this was basically done through a couple of NGOs, namely Seva Nyay Utthan Foundation, stated that if the same-sex marriage gets approved under Hindu marriage or another a different act, and not in other personal laws, it discriminates people in the LGBTQ plus community based on existing religion. Anyway, that being said, this was a really sweet story, and they had a ceremony, and it was great to see all their friends, their family, etc. around them. And the wedding was celebrated with all the pomp of the day. And the wedding was celebrated with all the pomp that any other Hindu wedding traditional ceremony has. So we can only hope that they get that chapa on the paper, because honestly at this point that's all that's missing.
And with that, we will be moving into the next story for the day, which is talking about the Super Bowl. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are going overseas. We are going to the great, the United States of America, where this week we have seen the Super Bowl won by East and Kroenke's Rams, and the Rams beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl final recently. And let me walk you through their journey to this final. So the Rams hired the youngest coach in NFL history instead of hoping that first round draft picks would become stars, and instead they traded these first round draft picks for proven A-listers. And the Rams dealt a quarterback who played in the Super Bowl because they did not think Jared Goff could lead them to another. For one, the veteran Matthew Stafford, who had never won a playoff game. And this obviously worked out very well for them, as they are now Super Bowl champions. And I think while it is not a sport which is primarily popular in the USA, this is a worldwide event. Everyone knows what the Super Bowl is. And congratulations to the Rams on winning the Super Bowl. And also, fun fact, Kroenke is also the manager of Arsenal. So to see how this could boost other sports financially is also an interesting topic. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Thanks, Rick. With that, we'll take a short break and we'll see you after the break.
Have you ever wondered where the business world is headed? How the ways in which we create, market and sell to consumers will evolve? Or if we'll ever go back to wearing pants while working? For answers to all of this and more, tune into Advertising is Dead with me, Varun Dugirala. Every Tuesday, as I talk to entrepreneurs, leaders and change makers from across business, media, marketing and beyond. You can catch all episodes of Advertising is Dead on the IVM Podcasts website, app or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Welcome back. You're listening to News Kids on the Block. I'm your co-host Kavya, and I'll hand it over to Anya Daftary for the next story.
Thanks, Kavya. The next story that we have for you is the Parliamentary Standing Committee on the Ministry of Home Affairs recently said in a report that, open quote, and I'm quoting here, the committee is anxious to notice that women are abysmally underrepresented in the police force as they constitute only 10.3% of the police force. That being said, according to reservations, 33% of the police force reservations are for women. Based on this, the parliamentary panel is looking to create one all-woman police station in each district. So yeah, that's pretty much as simple as it sounds. In every district, there'll be one police station that's only women to encourage that. A Swaddle article says that according to a 2018 study, opening such stations increased gender-based crime reportage by 22% in India, which that very year was dubbed the world's most dangerous country for women. These numbers also come in to context when we look at, according to the same Swaddle article, goes on to talk about how there have been several incidences in different states like Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Delhi, where female officers have come forward talking about sexual exploitation or harassment or even assault by male cops in their training or at their work. Now, if we look at this concept of an all women's police station, right, it will do multiple things. Firstly, of course, within that district, gender-based crime, a woman is more likely to, the area automatically becomes more approachable. So the increase of reporting in crime goes up. Secondly, women are able to, because they need to fill up all of these district stations and they need to, have women in these, the amount of seats that they can now keep open with like a proper a posting, etc., for women will be more structured. And then lastly, of course, I think being in an all-women police station means that at least at some managerial level, you have women officers. So something that's as disgusting as being sexually exploited or harassed because you're at training and you're just of a different gender doesn't necessarily have to happen. I remember once I was speaking to somebody who worked in the services and they just said that like in a couple of postings that I've been at, people are just not willing to respond to a female officer. It doesn't matter how good or bad she is at her job. She can't get anything done unless her subordinates, etc., are listening to what she's saying. So I thought that this was really interesting. The article also goes on to say that the panel also tries to address the systemic sexism that women who are already part of the country's police force face. And it even talked about just having restrictive jobs like diary entries or desk work or answering calls, etc. So I think that that's really sad because having women in a position of power will create so much change and will empower people and our entire population as a whole. So I think this is a really great step, and I hope that they take it forward and that we give women these roles that actually challenge them and make them better people, and in turn make our country and our police systems a lot better.
And with that, we will move into our next section for today, which is it's a pretty good story, I would say, in my personal humble opinion, as we are looking at the round of 16 games from this Champions League week. There were 4 games played this week, and the blockbuster game was arguably the first one played, which was the PSG Madrid game, where rumored future Real Madrid player Kylian Mbappe stole the headlines with a 94th minute winner against the club, which he has reportedly signed a pre-contract agreement with. Lots of drama going on there. It was a poor performance from Real Madrid, and it even has fans questioning whether they need a change in management. Let us know what you guys think. But yeah, Mbappe, what a performance that was. Rated as an 8 by L'Equipe, while Lionel Messi, who also shared the pitch with him, was rated only a 3 following his penalty miss and bad performance. I wouldn't say it's a bad performance, to be fair, but for Messi standards, we all know how good he can do. Let's hope he can find that form again, and for this time in PSG colours. And the next game was Man City Sporting, where City, business as usual, they hammered 5 past the Portuguese outing, and it was a pretty comfortable win. Even the Pep Guardiola said the tie is not yet over. That guy, he's always playing mind games. But that brings us into the next day of matches, where we saw FC Bayern draw a surprise match with RB Salzburg. It was a 1-1 score in Austria, and I think that's a scoreline no one really expected, because Bayern are arguably the second favorites or the favorites for the Champions League this year, and to see them being held to a draw by Salzburg is truly It's spectacular, really, but it just shows the magic of the cup and how much it means to Salzburg to be in the position they are, that they're not willing to just bend over for the big teams and they're willing to put in a fight. And with that, we go to the last game which was played this week. That is Liverpool Inter. Inter put up a tough fight, but there were no match for Liverpool's tireless running as the Reds put two past Internazionale. Goals from Firmino and Jota secured the first leg victory for the Reds.
Well, I'm sure after that you are going to need a short break. So we'll be right back on News Kids on the Block.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. The Fighting Goat completes 50 episodes. In this special episode, Bill Dosanjh, founder and CEO of Super Fight League, talks to Arjun and Somesh about how he is trying to create an ecosystem for combat sports in India. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus talks to founder and managing director of Boys and Machines, Siddharth Chaturvedi. They discuss his love for cars and the kind of luxury cars and bikes his company sells. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav tells us about the Malayalis of Pakistan in his new series, The Great Migration. On the Life Manifesto, Zarina shares actionable ways for couples to redefine their love for a better life. And on Probation Se Promotion Tak, Abhinav teaches us how to handle criticism effectively and uses it to our benefit. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our others for that matter, please do tell a friend. Don't forget to rate us on any other platforms that you're listening to us, whether it's a rating, whether it's a review, it all helps. And do remember to check us out on YouTube. We have a number of channels. They're available on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And finally, I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Bank of Baroda, CoinSwitch, Kuber, and HDFC Life Insurance. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome back to News Kids on the Block. I'm your co-host Anya, and I will be handing it off to my bestie Kavya to start us off with the next story.
Well, thanks, Anya. The next story I have for you today takes place in Europe, in Belgium, which has now joined the list of countries that offers their employees the choice of working a 4-day week without a loss of salary. This decision is part of the government's series of labor market reforms, which will give workers the right to basically completely turn away their work and ignore any work-related messages after certain hours without a fear of any consequences. The Belgian Prime Minister, Alexander De Croo, told a press conference, "We have experienced 2 difficult years. With this agreement, we set a beacon for an economy that is more innovative, sustainable, and digital. The aim is to be able to make people and businesses stronger." I think in many ways this is really interesting because this brings us to the question of what kind of effects this is going to have. Obviously, I think it'll take stress off a lot. It'll allow people to balance their work lives and their personal lives a lot better. But at the same time, if you're working 4-day weeks, you have to work a lot harder in those 4 days to be able to get the same amount of work, I'm guessing, done in that amount of time. So I think it's interesting as to what the results are going to be like. And it also got me thinking about what would happen if we were to have 4-day work days. What do you guys think that would be like?
I think I would love to work 4 days. A school 4 days would be amazing, especially for me, considering that's the only comparison I can make right now. But I would love to only do 4 days a week because that's less school time for me and more video games time for me. I love video games. Yay.
I think that as exciting as Trivik makes that sound, A, I don't play video games, and B, I think it would be fun to relax for 3 days, but also like after 3 days, what are you gonna do? Like one day maybe you meet your friends, and then if you have like exams or something, then like you just have like holidays are just another excuse to study. And also like holidays just become like you're so dependent on people. So I kind of like my 2-day weekends. It's like a good mix. I also think that since we've like had this pandemic and like everything has just opened up, like I would like to be at school or like see people every day.
Yeah,
so that like,
agree.
It's not some weird thing.
I think if you ask me in like online school, I would say I would love a 3-day weekend. But now that we're back in school and we're actually getting to go out a lot more, I think, like you said, I think the balance is a lot better if we do have 2-day weekends. I think what's interesting about this is the aim of this in a lot of ways is to allow people to separate their work and their life. But I think a side effect of this is that automatically when you have a longer time to rest and you have a longer break from work, you start doing a lot more work and you start doing homework or whatever. So I think it's interesting to see that pans out and the implications of this. But that is all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed this episode of News Kids on the Block. Don't forget to tune in to us every Friday for our fresh take on the news from across the globe.
If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other podcasts on the IVM network.
You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
We'll see you next week. But till then, do share this episode with your folks. Stay safe. And don't forget to do your homework.
Love fighting?
We've got you covered.
Check out our show, The Fighting Goat, where we, the voices of the internet, Arjun Chipalkatti and Somesh Kamra, bring to you crazy weekly action on your favorite combat show, The Fighting Goat.
Be it commentary, breakdown, predictions, analysis of styles and techniques.
And of course, your round of favorite fighters.
You can listen to us every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, and all major podcast streaming platforms.
You're the people pleaser, right? Oh, yes. Or then desperately seeking the one? Oh, wait, you're the one who doesn't think they're ever good enough. Oh. So much drama. And for what? Is it doing you any good? Listen to me. I'm Chetna, your favorite positive action coach. Yes, I'm the one who has been dropping all those truth bombs on every episode. Oh, no. And it's time you learn to say no to drama. That's also what my podcast is called. And a new episode is out every Monday and Wednesday on the IVM Podcast app, website, as well as all major podcasting platforms.